And the big story that we are tracking at the top of 1 p.m. today is coming in from Jammu and Kashmir, where the Jammu and Kashmir government has sacked 2 doctors for allegedly working with Pakistan-based entities and for tampering evidence in the 2009 Shopian rape murder case. The doctors were found guilty of manipulating the report regarding the tragic drowning of 2 young girls in Shopian, identified as Dr. Bilal Ahmed Dalal and Dr. Nigat Shaheen Chelu. The duo had falsely portrayed the incident as a case of rape with a malicious intent of inciting violence and unrest in the valley. As per reports, this deplorable act was orchestrated by Pakistan and its proxies operating within the valley with the help of these 2 doctors. Their aim was to tarnish the reputation of the security forces and inflame the sentiments of the people, ultimately destabilizing the situation in Kashmir.
Well, I call it the extrajudicial termination of services of these 2 doctors who have been singled out. I mean, if there's anybody culprit, it needs to be the entire system that time. The then Chief Minister Umar Abdullah had constituted Justice Muzaffar Jaan Commission, which had said that there was rape and murder. What about action against that commission and its people? And then the then Bar President Mian Qayyum had said there was rape and murder. And then what about the role of BJP, which actually blessed a very close relative of same advocate Mian Qayyum with a very powerful chair? I mean, if you need accountability, we need to make everybody accountable in the system. And that accountability will start from BJP as to why this government was silent over all this for all these years.
The government in which the government has terminated the subsidies of 2 doctors for producing fake reports in the Asifa Nilufar case. As the government has constituted a judicial inquiry in this case, and after that their judicial inquiry found that these reports are false, and after going through these reports, the government has terminated the subsidies of these 2 doctors for producing fake reports. As these reports, the reports produced by these doctors, they just want to tarnish the image of Indian security forces who are battling day and night to curb terrorism in Kashmir and serving the country by 24/7. So we welcome the decision of the government just to curb those voices, those who are working against India.
And to discuss this further, I'm joined by former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir, Mr. SP Ved, and I'm also joined by Colonel PK Pillai, who's a research fellow of the IDSA. Good afternoon to both of you, sir. Thank you so much for taking your time and joining us here at Mirror Now. Now, my first question would go to the former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir, Mr. SP Ved. Mr. Ved, you know, when stories like these come, it really shakes the confidence of the people in the system in place. In this particular case, doctors, who are essentially seen as messiahs for many people. When they are being used as proxies, where has there been a lapse? Why couldn't the intelligence be able to, nip it in the bud when this entire thing had just begun? Do you think there is a mechanism in place where you can keep such activities in check in the valley?
Good afternoon, Samia, and everyone, all the viewers. You are absolutely right. This actually shakes the confidence of common man in the system, and particularly the doctors. Generally, doctors are believed by general public if you see in the case of your own treatment, whatever doctor suggests, you risk your life on that basis and get your treatment on that pattern recommended by the doctor. So it was very unfortunate what happened, that doctors fabricated the post-mortem report. Generally, most of the investigations, what police does is based on the post-mortem report and forensic science laboratories on their reports. And if these people do not hold integrity and conspire against the country, conspire against the nation to destabilize the country, conspire against your own security men on the behest of foreign power. Unfortunately, in Kashmir, every wing of the society was infiltrated by ISI, and this is what happened in 2009. In fact, the action against them should have been taken immediately after the report of CBI was filed. I think at that time, the report was filed by the CBI in the High Court, because Honorable High Court was monitoring the case, and a copy must have gone to the government also. But that time there was a political government in place, I think headed by National Conference Chief Minister Mr. Omar Abdullah. And in fact, on his instructions, the CBI was handed over investigation, and Central Forensic Science Laboratory Delhi was also involved in this. And after this investigation, in which even these two doctors were interrogated, they must have come out with the evidence against these people, how these two doctors had fabricated the postmortem report to show it as a case of rape and murder, while it was not. It was a natural death by drowning. And the action against these doctors should have been taken then and there. Why it took so many years, that is what actually perplexes. But I congratulate the Lieutenant Governor's administration that at this belated stage they have taken action against these two doctors. But people are raising voice that why only dismissal from service? What about salaries they have drawn for so many last 15 years? And what about their criminal liability? How many people got killed? How many people, I think hundreds of them got injured. The valley was paralyzed for more than 7 months. There was a loss of economy of to the extent of 6,000 crores. So many policemen got injured. What about the district SP of Shopian, who was the chief of police there? He was in fact suspended and arrested by then authorities. What about his reputation? What about other police officers who were arrested? I think so much turmoil was suffered by people. So much turmoil was there in the valley, and people had suffered in terms of death, destruction, injuries, and loss of reputation, loss of face. Who is answerable to that? I think people must ask these questions to the establishment.
Who's answerable to that? Let me get a question across to Colonel PK Pillai, who also continues to be with us over here. You know, Mr. SP Wade was raising some very important questions over here. But Mr. Pillai, I have to ask you about the nefarious designs of Pakistan, where almost every day we are breaking news about how there are these Pakistani drones carrying narcotics are found in Indian soil. They manage to breach the Indian borders. The BSF manages to foil these bids by Pakistan. But I will also bring to your knowledge, not too far ago, it must be fresh in our memory, is how the DRDO scientist from Pune was also honey-trapped by a Pakistani agent. So Pakistan is relentless in their attempts to try and create unrest in India, whether it's in Pune or for that matter over here in Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir more so because of the geographical placement of the state. But do you think that there should be a stronger mechanism, intelligence in place to try and counter these attempts by Pakistan?
See, first I'd like to take on this issue about this rape, like the DGP had brought out already. Had actually brought the entire, had actually offended the entire Kashmiri community so much that life was paralyzed for about 6 months. Now, you look at it as the reasons under which these were orchestrated. It's very clear that there was an agenda in which they want to highlight and internationalize this thing. And it's not the first time that they've used this. I don't know whether you recall that 1991, there was this Kunan Pushpura case where actually the army had modified its tactics later on, where the men used to be separated and they went to search. And they realized that large number of women were. And then a very respectable IAS officer, Wajahat Habibullah, went and concluded that these were actually fake charges that was actually, projected. So it's part of the, it is part of the country. There's a massive hoax orchestrated by militant groups and the ISI that actually cleverly contrived strategy to show it as internationalize the whole thing. So what we must understand is that there's no stoppage to this issue that we see. There's no way that you can actually an enemy state like Pakistan, which if you look at it, they should be really worried about getting Bangladesh back into their fold, which is part of their territory. Kashmir was never part of their territory. So it's obvious that where